Hello and welcome to InfoHub. Here's what you need to know for Wednesday, June 20, 2018. Exxon Mobil makes 8th oil discovery. Sandpit operators warn to get their act together. Interministerial team meets mining stakeholders. School-aged mothers to be formally reintegrated into the education system. And good news for athletes, as the draft for the National Sports Policy is completed. Stay tuned for these and much more. Thanks for joining us. We begin with the news that Exxon Mobil has struck oil again, this time at a Longtail-1 exploration well, making this the 8th successful discovery. Details from Tiffany Rodius.
Minister of Natural Resources Raphael Trotman described the discoveries made to date as staggering.
We now have a mammoth take, not only in this find, but I'm saying that the accumulative finds of 8 finds give us now, I'm sure, in excess of 4 billion barrels. It is a staggering figure. And we thank God.
Drilling at Longtail-1 began in May. The well encountered approximately 256 feet of high-quality oil-bearing sandstone reservoir. Country manager of Exxon Mobil, Rod Henson, noted this is a significant find.
This is in the southeast part of the block. It's very close to our recent turbo discovery as well. So it simply adds to the potential for a development in another area outside the Liza area.
The recent find, coupled with turbo, now estimates that part of the Stabroek block to contain in excess of 500 million oil-equivalent barrels. Henson says this encourages expanding exploration in the block.
We do intend to bring in a third drill ship. This would be dedicated to exploration drilling, at least initially, and so we don't have the exact ship named yet or the timing, but likely it'll be later this year.
The 8 discoveries made so far are Liza, Payara, Liza Deep, Snook, Turbo, Ranger and Pecora, all in the Stabroek block located approximately 120 miles offshore Guyana. Exxon Mobil is currently developing the Liza field for first oil in 2020. The company and its partners are currently drilling the production wells. For InfoHub, Tiffany Rodius.
An interministerial team today met with mining sector stakeholders to address their concerns. Alexis Rodney was there and filed this report.
In what is expected to become a biannual consultation, several ministers today met with key players of the mining sector to address some of the challenges they have been facing. The consultation, facilitated by the Ministry of Natural Resources, included Minister Raphael Trotman, Minister of Public Security Kemraj Ramjatan, Minister of Indigenous Peoples Affairs Sidney Alicog, and Minister of Business Dominique Gasking, along with Junior Minister of Natural Resources Simona Brooms. They met with the Guyana Gold and Miners Association, the Guyana Women Miners Association, the Small Miners Association and Mining Syndicates representatives. Minister Trotman said the consultation was the highest level of engagement between the government and the sector.
The discussion is on with Minister Patterson. Some of the top leaders have frank and open discussions with each other and work with each other. We're not here to shut mining down. And Mr. Shields, again, you've left me with much to think about. Do we see you just as a business, or do we see you as part of the developmental pillars, or one of the strong pillars, which is certainly what we think you are?
The issues under discussion ranged from crime and security, trafficking in persons, the Guyana Geology and Mines Commission, and concessions, among others.
I thought I'd bring the relevant and important ministers together so that they could hear from us as well about what we expect from them, and we could hear from them likewise their expectations. I think that both sides will come away feeling a sense of satisfaction today that we're listening to each other, and as I said, we'll follow up with them on a one-on-one basis.
The ministers candidly addressed many of the issues, explaining the steps being taken in the respective ministries to curb them. Reporting for InfoHub, I'm Alexis Rodney.
Minister within the Ministry of Natural Resources, Simona Brooms, promises greater enforcement by the Guyana Geology and Mines Commission to curb illegal sandpit practices. More in this Tiffany Rodius report.
Today, Minister Brooms and a team from GGMC inspected sandpits along the Linden-Soosdijk Highway. The minister demanded an immediate cease-work order be issued at one of the pits after several unsafe infractions were observed and called for greater enforcement by GGMC.
At the level of the commission, they have the power to get correction because, all right, you don't correct, I don't lift the cease-work order. If I don't lift the cease-work order and you come and work, you breach, you're disrespectful, you charge, you seize equipment, all kinds of things can happen there. So it is not to say that there's no law to allow for the level of lawlessness.
Minister Brooms has been inspecting quarrying operations with the aim of regulating the practice. The minister is also seeking to have outstanding royalties owed to GGMC paid.
The royalty to the commission on a ton is 15 Guyana dollars, right? This right here, Guyana dollars, on 1 ton of sand. And every year, although these people are doing exporting and all of that, every year is a rollover, everybody, and some persons even have what we call payment plan. An end will come to that. That is an exploitation.
Minister Brooms will have a subsequent meeting with the operators. The consultations are part of efforts to reform the quarrying sector. For InfoHub, Tiffany Rogers.
Local content specialist Dr. Michael Warner says the second draft of Guyana's local content policy framework is fit for purpose. Details from Alexis Rodney.
Dr. Warner presented on the policy's implementation to the private sector.
The implementation of the policy does not need an external advisor to come along and say, here are the principles for implementation. They're written in the policy. And they're all very sensible, well considered.
Dr. Warner explained that the private sector must move beyond an advisor giving the answer when it comes to defining Guyana's local content.
The policy is saying we're going to have a collaborative and pragmatic approach. So my advice is get going with that. Get going fast with that. You need to get moving. Things are happening.
The presentation was facilitated by the DAI International Group, which is managing Exxon Mobil's Center for Business Development. Dr. Warner has 20 years of experience in local content development in the oil and gas industry. Alexis Rodney for InfoHub.
Daddy!
Thanks for staying with us. We now turn our attention to youth development. The National Center for Education Resource Development, NCER, today launched its school's welfare database to better handle students' well-being. Here's Stefan Gabriel with the details.
Chief Education Officer Marcel Hudson described the database launch as another great step for the ministry.
And as a Ministry of Education, if we're going to be relevant, if we're going to be effective, we must use data. And therefore, I'm happy that we have gone this way.
Hudson said that the database must now be used to implement more strategies for welfare issues.
But gathering data, that's one thing. How you use the data in terms of implementation, that's another. Because you could have lots of information about children who need help, children who need support and so on, but we do not apply what we know. And therefore, we must go beyond just gathering and having the base.
Chief Schools Welfare Officer Glenna Vivas explained that data has always been a challenge, but this will now be improved with the acquisition of the database.
This database will create a management system which will improve communication between the school's welfare unit and regional officers and schools, strategize forms, data collection and report, improve data analysis, serve as a modular system to cater for information sharing between departments and agencies.
The database will assist with fulfilling the school's welfare service unit's aims to identify and assist children with social, psychosocial problems which impact on their performance at school. It will also help to maintain proper record keeping, tracking children, managing, updating, and assessing information, among others. For InfoHub, Stefan Gabriel.
The policy for reintegrating adolescent mothers into the school system was handed over on June 18 at NCERD by officials from the Ministry of Education and UNICEF. Here's Natisha Isaacs with that report.
The policy aims to manage the reintegration of adolescent mothers into the formal school system and help reduce the number of pregnancies among them. Minister of Education Nicolette Henry said that the policy will ensure that girls are educated.
As a government, Our motto is that every child matters. With this policy, there will be no need to repeat the past because the future for adolescent mothers in Guyana will become bright because legally the barriers that prevail will be a thing of the past and indeed illegal, leaving the path open to an education for all.
United Nations Children's Fund UNICEF's representative to Guyana and Suriname, Sylvie Fouy, noted that the policy is a key milestone and the next step is implementation.
They need to know they are protected and they care for. So all the supportive mechanism, education, health, justice has to support that. So we hope so, and we wish you the best for the Guyanese, and particularly the youngest.
The policy is a collaboration between the Ministry of Education and UNICEF. It has been in the works for approximately 1 year. Input was garnered from stakeholders such as the Ministries of Public Security, Public Health, Social Protection, as well as several faith-based organizations, among other agencies. For InfoHub, Letitia Isaacs.
Athletes, coaches, and the government will soon be guided by a structured, comprehensive approach for the sports development, with completion of the draft for the National Sports Policy. Here are the details.
The document is expected to be tabled before Cabinet by the Minister of Social Cohesion, Dr. George Norton, by the end of the third quarter. This was confirmed by Assistant Director of Sport Melissa Dow Richardson, who is responsible for the document's realization. Anti-doping, collaboration among national agencies and sports programs and projects, sports governance, elite athlete development, and tourism are a few areas of focus in the draft policy. The draft policy is available on the Ministries of Social Cohesion's Facebook page for public consumption and feedback. Isaiah Braffett for InfoHub.
Here's our final report. Queen's Young Leaders awardee Marva Langevine will be honored at this year's National Youth Awards.
The 25-year-old teacher will receive a Queen's Young Leaders Award on June 26th for the work she is doing to transform the lives of bereaved, sick, and underprivileged children and families in Guyana. Extending congratulations to Langevine, the Director of Youth, Melissa Carmichael Haynes, said it is paramount that young people be recognized for their hard work.
It's important that young people can provide good service, voluntary service to other youths, children, to foster their development. The Department of Youth will certainly recognize her for her hard work during our award period for 2018. We want to just encourage her, congratulate her, first of all, for receiving the award, congratulate her for being nominated, for receiving the award, and for continuously working with the young people that she does.
The local award ceremony will be held on International Youth Day to be observed on August 12th. The youth director invited nominations for deserving youth groups, schools, and organizations in recognition of their hard work and commitment. The categories of the award include art, sport, volunteerism, youth entrepreneurship, agriculture and food security, environmental conservation and protection, and innovation in science and technology.
It doesn't matter who you are. You can nominate someone once you believe that they have been doing great work in any of the categories. You can nominate them for a National Youth Award.
Nomination forms can be downloaded from the Youth Department's Facebook page or uplifted from its office on 91 Middle Street, Georgetown. The closing date for nominations is July 14. Renetta LaFleur for InfoHub.
Here now are your bridge and weather reports. And before we wrap up, here are your World Cup match results for today.